Hello everyone, welcome to another lecture from Shomu's Biology. In this lecture, we are going to talk about methyl mismatch repair, shortly known as MMR. Okay, in this series of lectures, we have been talking about the DNA repair mechanisms, including base excision repair, nucleotide excision repair, methyl mismatch repair, and many more kinds of DNA repair. This video is all about the methyl mismatch repair, or basically what do we mean by mismatch repair and why mismatch repair is so important. We'll be talking about the requirement of methyl mismatch repair, and we'll also see the steps of methyl mismatch repair, the enzymes involved in methyl mismatch repair, and also we'll see all the bits and pieces of DNA mismatch repair mechanisms. So let's begin. The first thing that I want you to know about the methyl mismatch repair or DNA mismatch repair mechanism is why do we need them? Why we use mismatch repair in the very first place? The answer to that is that after every round of DNA replication, there are some sort of errors. So we can say that DNA replication is error prone. It's not likely that after a DNA replication there won't be any wrong nucleotide mismatches are present in the DNA. Of course, there are mismatches present in the DNA, even though DNA polymerase have a good exonuclease activity, proofreading activity. Still, even after investing the proofreading activity, there are errors in the DNA. There will be errors present in the DNA, and all we need to do is basically to fix these errors. And this error is error of mismatch. Okay, so if there is a mismatch, then we need to fix that mismatch. And this mismatch means what kind of thing? We know that Watson-Crick pairing is A with T and G with C. 3 hydrogen bonds, 82 hydrogen bonds. But if somehow this is different, let's say a C or a GT, this sort of interactions, these are termed as mismatch, and this mismatch need to be addressed right next or right after the DNA replication is done. So right after the DNA replication is over, this mismatch is detected. First of all, you need to detect them. So the steps, if I consider, first of all, we'll detect it. The second step, identification and detection is done. Incision is done. Then removal and gap fill. Last is ligation of the strands. These are the 4-step process that are involved to fix a mismatch or mismatched base even after the DNA replication. So first is the detection, then incision with endonucleases, then removal of those nucleotides out in a stretch, and also filling up the gap, which will be a simple polymerization activity and will be done by polymerase enzymes. And finally, the last step of ligating the phosphodiester bond, the ligation of the nick, will be done by ligase enzymes. So here I'll explain you the different role of different enzymes in this process. But again, before going that side, I must give you a simple idea about when this repair mechanism is involved, because the base excision repair, the nucleotide excision repair, they are not always in place. When there is an error like that, when there is a lesion, small or big, then base excision repair or nucleotide excision repair are recruited. But the methyl mismatch repair is an integral part of the post replicational process. So right after the replication is over, what happens is that, let's say in case of E. coli, if we take this example for E. coli, we know that after the replication, so let's say this is the parental DNA. In parental DNA, how do we know if they are parental DNA? Because this DNA, they are there is acetyl group added basically. Okay, so there is methyl group added to this DNA, and this methylation in eukaryotes are different they carry different meaning, silencing of the DNA, but methylation that we know in case of E. coli have a totally or entirely different meaning. So the methyl group that is added, so in this state we know that this DNA is fully methylated, means both the strands of the DNA are almost equally methylated. That is a complete methylated strand of the DNA. Now what happens is that right after the replication, the first round of replication, let's imagine that this is the parental strand and it still has the methyl groups attached to it, but the new daughter strand that is formed, which is green in color, will lack any methyl group because that is newly synthesized. This is synthesized just now, the green one, so it will not show any methylation. No methylation is still done yet here in this newly added strand. So what we'll do now, what the cell will do now here, E. coli will do now, this is a hemimethylated condition, hemimethylated strand, hemimethylated strand of the DNA. So this hemimethylated state is very crucial, very important for the E. coli to understand which one is parental strand and which one is daughter strand. Is very important because the methyl mismatch repair will be recruited, MMR will be recruited in the daughter strand and not in the parental strand, because parental strand is already pre-existing. So the process of methyl mismatch repair is already done in the parental strand. After the replication is over, the newly synthesized daughter strand is the target for methyl mismatch repair or DNA mismatch repair. So to mark this, they will recruit the methyl mismatch repair to the strand which is non-methylated. Now at this particular moment, when they will recruit the methyl mismatch repair or DNA mismatch repair mechanism in here, they are going to imply these changes. And what kind of changes we are going to see, let's imagine, let's start talking about that. So we'll discuss about the different steps of this process. So starting with the very first step here would be the recognition of the damage. And let's imagine there is a mismatch, and let's imagine the mismatch is here, let's say A with C. This is a particular mismatch. So what we need to do, the mismatch means, I'll write it something like this. So this mismatch means this particular portion of the DNA should be cleaved out, this nucleotide should be cleaved out, a new nucleotide will be in this place. So the very first step is recognition, and the recognition process is done by mute protein. So this idea of the methyl mismatch repair mechanism, they involve a separate set of proteins known as mute protein, okay, MUT, mute SLH, particularly remember this mute S, L and H, three proteins together formed a complex, and this is very important. Like mute S, particularly mute S alpha in case of eukaryotes, if you see these mute proteins, they are very important. If you consider the same idea, in case of E. coli it's different, in case of eukaryotes are different, but in eukaryotes and E. coli there are very much similarity, there are only differences in the name of the proteins and how they run, okay. So here what mute S, in case of eukaryotes we have mute S alpha that is actually involved in there, and the job is to detect the mismatch, okay. So mismatch is detected by mutase, it remains bound to this. So mutase's job is something like a clamp loader. What it does is actually is like a clamp protein, binds itself to one of the strands and starts scanning the strand, and that will be the newly synthesized strand which is scanned by mutase. Start scanning. So it starts scanning this, and whenever they find this mistake, they will stop there, and then they will recruit the second protein known as mute L, and in this case mute L alpha again. So mute L protein, the job of mute L is to take care of the process of methyl mismatch repair further downstream. So the mutase's job is to only detect that if there is an error, where is the error. Once once the error is found, mute L is applied, and mute L is job is to recruit and escort the further endonuclease activities preferred by mute H. So it's not endonuclease, actually the mute L and H, they have separate roles to play. Mute L job is to basically kind of start the process of incision, means the phosphodiester bond will be cleaved, and the moment it is cleaved, the terminal is free, then mute S, which is an exonuclease, remember it's not an endonuclease, exonuclease. What exonuclease will do is basically, if this is the DNA, exonuclease will always cleave from the terminal side, and what endonuclease will do, it will cleave from the central or somewhere in the middle, not from the terminal side of the nucleotides. So mute H can only act as exonuclease, that means it can only cleave fragments of the DNA from the terminal side when there is a cleavage of the phosphodiester bond. That is done by mute L, and once that is done, mute H initiates the process of rapid removal, or you can say removal of mismatch. Whatever mismatch base is present out there, let's say in this case A is present, so we'll cut the A out, and not only cut only single mismatch base out, but it cuts multiple bases. And this is always happens, you know, if there is one error of one particular nucleotide, so not only that nucleotide is cut out, they cut multiple nucleotides in that downstream, following a downstream pattern. And once that is done, then the fourth step is Obviously in this case polymerization, the gap is generated. So polymerase delta is involved, and the polymerase delta's job is to fill the gap, add new nucleotide in that sequence. And in this case also why polymerase delta is used is delta is one of the uh, such kind of a polymerase whose error rate is very low, and it can add good, I mean the effectivity at which the polymerase delta adds good or right nucleotide in that sequence is quite high. That's why polymerase delta is utilized in here. It continues to add polymerase delta, and not only that, after the process is done, obviously, so the gap is generated. Let me draw this here as well. So this was the situation, and mute SLH, they form a loop like structure here all together, and then L cleaves the strand and H separates some portions of the nucleotides fragment out, and afterwards what happens is that that gap is filled by polymerase delta. So the newly synthesized DNA is denoted here with this red color, and delta fills this gap. After the gap is filled, this nick should be sealed by DNA ligase enzyme, and that is the job at the end. Ligase enzyme will seal the nick, and you can see the ligase enzyme's role in DNA repair mechanisms is unparalleled, unmatched, because it is involved in DNA base excision repair, nucleotide excision repair, methyl mismatch repair, and where not, it's there always, because the only single glue that can seal the nick in the DNA, where there is only one phosphate or two phosphates are present, still they seal the nick, is the ligase. Without ligase you cannot seal the nick, and ligase requires ATP, and requires ATP for functioning. That's why this all repair mechanisms are ATP draining processes. And why not? If there is a damage and cell want to fix the damage, obviously cell is going to pay the price for it, and this is the price as an ATP. Okay, so the sealing is done. At the end, what we have this we have the DNA. Both the strands are okay now, and these are the steps of DNA repair, the DNA mismatch repair mechanism, or the methyl mismatch repair mechanism. Why we call it methyl mismatch repair is because this methyl group that is added to the parental strand of the DNA is very crucial to distinguish between the parental and non-parental, the parental and the daughter strand, because this they will recruit the mute SLH, this 3 complex in the newly synthesized DNA, not the existing strand. This is very important concept to understand. Once you understand this concept, rest of the things will be very easy for you. I believe you have a clear idea about the methyl mismatch repair mechanism. If you like this video, please hit the like button, share this video with your friends, subscribe to get more videos like that in future. And also I request you to watch all the lectures of the DNA repair mechanisms. In that way you will have a better understanding of how DNA repair mechanisms work. Okay, bye.